Good day, fellas. Okay, and I know it's been a hot minute, but what I'm going to be doing today is I just want to give you guys an update. I know it's been a real hot minute since the last video that I uploaded. But anyway, on the bench here, which is actually the reason why there is no vmax on the bench. I have a lot of parts for the vmax. Unfortunately, this bad boy, this is my Husqvarna 2010 Husqvarna TE 450. So this is a street legal bike. And what happened is back in September, the first week of September, I went ahead and I went out on the trails and actually ran into some problems and had I'm going to call it a catastrophic failure, even though it really wasn't. However, I didn't know at the time. So I'm going to go and get a little bit of fast forward in on this. This engine has been in and out twice now. Okay. And what had happened is I went into a little puddle. Hopefully I can insert video here. Brings us back to what's going on today. And so one of the things that I was having a problem with is I was having a problem with some compression. So I went ahead and I got new rings. The cylinder looked like it had cylinder wash on it, or the piston wash. Not ring wash, but the whole piston was actually in really good shape. So I went ahead and I ordered some new rings, a new set of rings for it. Actually, I went ahead and I got 2 sets of rings for it. So I went ahead and I properly gapped, I put everything back together, and again, I just did not have the compression that I wanted. So what ended up happening is I ended up pulling the engine back out again because it could not start, even though I thought it should have. Now, just to let you guys know, this has a automatic decompression rate on the cam. Okay, so you're not going to get like these astronomical compression ratios or of what it should be. Generally, with the automatic decompression, you're getting about 50, maybe 55 psi of compression on the motor. So anyway, I went ahead and I disabled that, and I just was not getting a consistent reading. I just was not getting the proper compression. So out came the motor, just double checked everything else again. Went ahead and I double checked the flatness of the jug. Okay. And what I ended up finding out was that it was a step that I actually skipped, which I really shouldn't have. Now, in the first time that I took it out and I put it back together and I put it into the engine, one of the things that I noticed was that this is my pump for the cooling. So it's the coolant pump. And when I went to go put it back on, I noticed that it was rattling a little bit. I was like, oh, geez, you know what? That's funny. This thing really, I thought should be tight. So I went ahead and I stuck a flashlight down one of these tubes, and I rotated the shaft because I had it out of the bike, and I rotated the shaft, and I found out that it just wasn't right. So I went ahead and I stuck a little piece of wood down there, and I turned the shaft, and guess what? The impeller was not spinning. So with that, I took it all apart, okay, and it was just the only reason why it tipped me off on that was because I heard a tinging in it, and I thought that was weird and it shouldn't be there. So I ordered a new impeller and a completely rebuilt unit, and got it here, and yeah, okay, everything is fine. So went ahead and I put that back together, but I still couldn't get the compression correct. So I took it all apart again, and what ended up happening is that the jug down here was actually not flat. Okay, and that was obviously I overheated the engine, which is probably what caused my failure. So I just double checked everything that I possibly could and went ahead and I flattened by hand. Okay, if you guys don't know, what you do is you take an old mirror. It's got to be a good thickness. And I look for these things at garage sales all the time. I get them if they're too long, but they're the right width. I will actually cut them in half and use two halves. And what you do is you go ahead and you get your sandpaper and you wet the sandpaper, you wet the mirror, and for some reason that sandpaper actually suctions itself to the mirror, and then you go ahead and you do figure eights until you just can't do figure eights anymore, and then you check it to see how flat it really is. I do this in two different ways. One is with a straight edge, the other is with marker. So I will go ahead and I get a nice blue Sharpie, let's say, and I will paint the whole surface, and then I will double check to see if on the sanding where I'm at, because the part that is all the high spots will get sanded right away. All the low spots will not get sanded, and that blue is very easy to see. So fast forward, I got it as flat as I can. I go ahead, I redo everything, put it all back together. I take a little magnet. I make sure that I have the automatic decompression on the cam in the off position. Okay, and I go and I double check my compression, and I've got about 164 psi of compression. Now, grant you, in order to get that, I also could not rely on just a little battery, because that's going to be a little too much, and that's why the decompression on the cam is there. So I had it hooked up to another battery and jump just so that I could take the load and not use the load off of the little itty bitty battery. So that brings us into where we are, and I put it together, and wouldn't you know it, I still could not get this thing to fire, even though at this point now I have verified that I have spark, I have compression, okay, and what I think is I have fuel. So with that being said, I started doing a little bit more. Okay, well, maybe my injector is plugged, and sure as heck, it is plugged, fellas. So, but I was wondering, like, and before I got into that portion of it, I was getting fuel. It still gets fuel. It's just that the pattern was no good, and I think it was a little bit less, so it would have been running probably lean or whatever. But I still thought it could fire. And the whole time that I was doing this and trying to get it to fire, I was wondering, why is it not firing? I have all the components that need it to fire. Maybe I'm off phase. I double checked, triple checked, quadruple checked. You know what? I probably checked my timing probably 15 times. Okay, and each time it was it just will not start, and everything is there. Compression, fuel, and spark. So you know, and here's the kicker. The reason why it got me into this so much, and I fell down this rabbit hole, is because I never considered the fuel. Never considered the fuel. Why didn't I consider the fuel? Well, that's simple. It was one of those things that I had just purchased. So I filled up my, I believe it's like, I don't know, 10 liters, or, you know, it was this thing right over here. Okay. So however much this here is, approximately 5 gallons. Okay, so I filled that up at 5 gallons of premium, and the only thing that I can get here in town is premium 91 octane. Okay, and this is what it looked like when I emptied the tank, and I thought, oh, geez. Well, doesn't that look like antifreeze? But rest assured, this is not antifreeze. This is fuel. This is actually the gas that came out of my tank. And just to make sure, I took that same canister that I bought in September. Okay, so it would have been the first week of September that I bought this 5 gallons worth of fuel of 91 octane. And I went ahead and I poured a little bit into this mason jar, and look at that. Okay, now when I pulled this is 2 months old. and this gas has gone bad. So what happened is that I ended up, draining everything and so on and so forth, and going to see, okay, I'm going to seek out I'm very limited out here in the 94 octane fuel, but I went ahead and I went to a town, and of course their machine wasn't working well. I had to pay. Anyway, it was a long ordeal, but I finally did get the fuel that I needed. Here it is. Okay, so this here is actual 94, and it's been in here since November the 19th. We are now into December. I think we're like December the 11th or something. So this bike has been down since September, but the first week or so of September, and that is the fuel that I pulled out of it in November. Basically November, probably 17th through 19th or so. Okay, so yeah, it's an extra month, but grant you, it still looked like this before. Now, I went ahead and I took a little sample of it and tried to light it on fire. It's just bad gas. So I don't know what the heck was going on with that, but this is the 94, and you can clearly see the difference in the two. Now, upon doing that, like I said, I did notice that I did have a bad injector, and here is the injector. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but this is an EAT 258. Okay, so this is the injector, and I have tried 6 ways from Sunday to clean it. Yes, I do have a fuel injector cleaning machine here, and I just could not get this one to work. So what I did is I started going on the hunt. Well, I don't know about you guys, but if you're looking for an EAT 258 fuel injector, they just don't make them anymore. So one of the things that I did do is I did cross-reference, and what I found out is the Kawasaki version. Okay, there's a Kawasaki, I think it's a ZX14R within certain years, the KX 450, and there's another one too. They all use this same fuel injector, an EAT 258, and I verified that through some of the forums, and of course one of the guys pulled it out and it says, you know what, it says EAT 258 right on the injector. However, when I cross-reference it to the manual, it tells me a different number. So he was just wondering whether or not they were the same, and yes, of course, they are the same. So I also did the same thing, and I cross-referenced the Kawasaki genuine parts and got onto theirs, and I typed in their 450 dirt bike. I think it's like a KX 450R or something like that, or F, and sure enough, it gave me a number. So fast forward a little bit, and here is the injector. Now, the funny part is that this injector is the one that this is an EAT 286, and they are all that way, even though all the Kawasaki's say that, yes, it's supposed to be an EAT 258, but they do not ship them anymore. Now, I have 2 coming from China, supposedly. I don't know when, and they are the same color as this, and so on and so forth. But and apparently, they are supposed to be a true 258. What I want to know is does anybody else have any? If there's any Kawasaki owners out there that have one of these motorcycles that uses one of these types of fuel injector, and it's pretty clear. Does it work the same? The EAT 286, does it do the same as the EAT 258? Now, in my rational thinking, I wouldn't think that they would. However, I'm not in a fuel injector, guru by any word of the means. All I did was doing a little bit of cross-reference. If you guys are wondering about the little O-ring that's supposed to be there, there it is. That was me who did that when I was removing it and try to slip it back in, and I did end up breaking the O-ring off of the top of this, but it doesn't matter because this here does not give you a good spray pattern whatsoever, and I have tried 6 ways from Sundays, and I cannot get this one cleared. I think that there is a problem with this injector. So Do I put this one in? Do I wait for the ones from China? What do I do? This is the gas problem. Obviously, I'm going to have to run this stuff. I still don't know whether this thing is going to run or not or start. But, I mean, here we are. We've got the, you know, we've got the piece. This just came in today. I have been waiting to get this thing going since September. We are now almost mid-December, and I'm just getting that part in. It's just been a nightmare. So just to let you guys know on these old Husqvarnas, if anybody has any information or anything like that, just comment it down below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If there's anybody that knows anything about injectors, also let me know. Are these two going to perform approximately the same? Even though Kawasaki, the Kawasaki reference number to what is getting pulled out. What is getting pulled out is an EAT 258. What they are now shipping is a 286 EAT. And I don't know what the difference is. I've tried looking that part of it up online. It's just a big gray area. So if there's anybody that knows, just let me know in the comments or whatever before I start putting this thing back together. I don't want to break another O-ring or whatever the case. And I am just going to put this back together, even though I do have 2 more of these that are coming, but they are coming from China. Who knows? I might not get them until February. In the meantime, that's what I am waiting for to get back onto the VMAX. Again, I have some gaskets. We're going to take apart the clutch. I've got work to do on the VMAX, and I want to put the VMAX up on this lift. My biggest problem right now is that this thing here has been occupying my lift since September, and I really don't want to take it out until it is good to go. I get it fired. I know that everything is working right, and I can actually take it off the lift, put it into storage, and put the VMAX on here, and then I'm going to start giving you guys a few extra VMAX videos. So thank you very much. Put your comments below, and you know, so hopefully somebody can help me out. Thank you very much for watching. Hit that subscribe button and like the video if you like it. If you don't like it, don't hit it. All right, thank you. Bye-bye.